the Sahara Desert, a place of scorching sun and endless sand dunes. Can you imagine spending 24 hours alone in its vast emptiness? The silence is absolute, broken only by the wind whispering across the dunes. This is the true test of self-reliance, a journey into the heart of solitude. The Sahara, with its unforgiving beauty, called to me. To survive 24 hours alone would demand every ounce of my physical and mental strength. This wasn't about seeking danger, but about confronting my fears, about discovering what I was truly capable of. I began to meticulously plan my 24-hour solo adventure. The Sahara was calling, but why? Why choose this barren, unforgiving landscape for a solo adventure? The answer is simple. It's the ultimate test. The Sahara is a place of extremes, where survival is a daily battle against the elements. To spend even 24 hours alone in this environment is to stare into the face of your own mortality. The Sahara holds a stark beauty, a raw power that is both terrifying and exhilarating. The endless dunes, sculpted by the wind, seem to stretch on forever. It's in this emptiness, in this silence, that you truly find yourself. Stripped of all distractions, you're forced to confront your own thoughts and fears. It's a journey that will stay with you long after you've left the desert sands behind. The Sahara Desert is unforgiving. Every detail, every ounce mattered when preparing for 24 hours alone in its harsh embrace. This was not a journey to be taken lightly. I pored over maps, studying the lay of the land, memorizing the location of the nearest oasis. Water, the elixir of life, was my primary concern. I calculated my needs meticulously, factoring in the scorching heat and my planned activity level. Food, light and compact, was carefully chosen for maximum energy and minimal bulk. But preparation went beyond the physical. I delved into survival guides, absorbing knowledge like a desert plant soaking up precious rain. Every bit of information was a shield, a weapon against the unknown. This was not a game, but a calculated dance with danger. My backpack became my lifeline, every item carefully chosen for its utility in the harsh desert environment. A wide-brimmed hat, a shield against the relentless sun, topped my packing list. Sunglasses, not just for style but for eye protection against the glare, were essential. Lightweight, breathable clothing in light colors would help reflect the heat. A sturdy compass and detailed maps, their edges worn from repeated study, were my guides. A whistle, small but mighty, could signal for help in an emergency. A first aid kit, stocked with supplies for everything from blisters to heat stroke, was a non-negotiable. Gallons of water, carefully distributed between reusable bottles and a hydration bladder. Each item in my backpack represented a potential solution to a desert challenge. The Sahara Desert is more than just a physical challenge, it's a test of will, a crucible for the mind. I knew that 24 hours alone in that vast emptiness would push me to my mental limits. The silence, the heat, the isolation, all conspired to break your spirit. I began to mentally prepare myself, practicing mindfulness techniques to stay grounded in the present moment. This mental preparation was not about denying fear, but about acknowledging it and moving forward anyway. The Sahara would test me, I had no doubt, but I was determined to meet its challenge with a clear mind and a resolute heart. The Sahara Desert is a place of breathtaking beauty, but beneath its stark allure lies a constant undercurrent of danger. I was acutely aware of the risks inherent in my 24-hour solo adventure. The desert is home to venomous creatures, from scorpions lurking beneath rocks to snakes camouflaged against the sand. Dehydration, a silent killer, was a constant threat in the dry desert air. Getting lost in the seemingly endless expanse of dunes could quickly turn deadly. I took every precaution, packing anti-venom, extra water, and a satellite phone for emergencies. I studied the behavior of desert animals, learning to identify potential threats and avoid them. The Sahara was a formidable adversary, but I was determined to respect its power without succumbing to fear. The air hit me first, a blast of dry, scorching heat that seemed to sear my lungs with each breath. I stepped out of the rickety jeep, the last vestige of civilization disappearing in a cloud of dust. Around me, The Sahara stretched in every direction, an ocean of sand bathed in the blinding glare of the midday sun. I was alone, truly alone. I adjusted my backpack, its weight a reassuring reminder of my meticulous preparations. This was my crucible, my 24-hour test of self-reliance. The dunes rose and fell like frozen waves, their crests sculpted by the relentless desert wind. The sand, a blinding white under the intense sun, stretched endlessly towards the horizon. I walked for hours, the only sound the crunch of my boots on the sand. The sun beat down mercilessly, and I could feel sweat stinging my eyes. The solitude was almost overwhelming. Yet there was a strange beauty in this desolation, a raw power that commanded respect. Setting up camp was a ritual, each action honed by necessity. I found a slight depression between two dunes, a meager shelter from the wind. My tarp, carefully positioned to deflect the sun's rays, provided a sliver of shade. Every movement was an effort in the stifling heat. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the dunes, I felt a surge of gratitude for my careful preparations. Survival in the Sahara was about more than just physical endurance. It was about mental discipline, about making each action count. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a different kind of fear settled in. The desert, no longer a furnace, transformed into a vast, empty canvas under a canopy of stars. The silence, if possible, seemed to deepen, amplifying every rustle and sigh of the wind. Loneliness pressed in, a tangible force in the deepening darkness. I clung to the memory of the setting sun, its fiery beauty a reminder of the world beyond this desolate landscape. I was utterly alone, facing the abyss of my own mortality. The wind picked up as darkness fell, a low moan that seemed to rise from the very depths of the Sahara. It whispered through the dunes, a constant, eerie murmur that played tricks on my mind. Every gust seemed to carry a voice, a whisper of madness in the deepening night. I huddled deeper into my makeshift shelter, the thin tarp little comfort against the chill that now settled over the desert. Fear, a primal instinct, gnawed at the edges of my composure. The night was a crucible, and I was determined to emerge from it whole. The moon, a sliver in the inky sky, cast long, distorted shadows across the dunes. Every ripple in the sand, every scrubby bush, was transformed into a grotesque phantom in the shifting light. The desert, once a blinding white under the sun, now became a landscape of shifting gray, a canvas for my deepest fears. The wind, relentless in its pursuit, whistled through the dunes, creating eerie melodies that echoed in the stillness. I kept my gaze fixed on the compass, its luminous dial a beacon of rationality in the swirling chaos of my thoughts. The desert could play tricks on your mind, could amplify your fears until they consumed you. I would not let the desert win. Above the swirling madness of the wind and shadows, the night sky blazed with a million stars. It was a sight of breathtaking beauty, a tapestry of light stretching from horizon to horizon. The Milky Way, a river of stardust, cut through the darkness, reminding me of the vastness of the universe, of my own insignificance in the grand scheme of things. For a moment, the fear receded, replaced by a sense of awe and wonder. Never before had I seen the stars with such clarity, such brilliance. It was a humbling and strangely comforting thought. The coldest part of the night, the hour before dawn, settled over the desert like a shroud. The wind finally died down, leaving an almost unbearable silence. The temperature plummeted, and even huddled beneath my thin tarp, I could feel the chill seeping into my core. I rubbed my arms, my breath forming clouds of vapor. Fatigue gnawed at me, but sleep was out of the question. To surrender to sleep would be to surrender to the cold, to invite hypothermia. The hours stretched on, each minute an eternity. I watched the eastern horizon, praying for the first sign of dawn, for the return of the life-giving sun. The stars, once so brilliant, now seemed to fade, their light swallowed by the approaching dawn. The desert night had tested me, pushing me to the limits. but I had survived. And as the first faint glow of dawn appeared on the horizon, I felt a surge of something akin to triumph. The Sahara had thrown its worst at me, and I had endured. The first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, a beacon of hope in the vast emptiness of the Sahara. The sky, moments before a canvas of inky black, erupted in a symphony of colors: fiery orange, soft pink, and a deep, resonant blue. The stars, their vigil over, began to fade, their light swallowed by the approaching sun. I emerged from my makeshift shelter, stiff and cold, but strangely invigorated. The desert air, no longer chilled with the bite of night, held a hint of warmth, a promise of the day to come. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with the dry, life-giving air. The world, bathed in the soft golden light of dawn, seemed reborn. The dunes, no longer menacing shadows, stretched around me, their crests tipped with gold. The sand, once a blinding white, now glowed with a warm ethereal light. The desert, stripped of the terrors of the night, revealed its stark beauty. I watched as the sun climbed higher, its rays chasing away the last vestiges of darkness. It felt like a resurrection, a symbolic victory over the long, dark night of the soul. I had faced the Sahara's challenge, endured its trials, and emerged, not unscathed, but unbroken. As the sun climbed higher, the heat of the day began to build. I packed my gear, my movements slow and deliberate, each action a testament to the previous night's ordeal. My body ached, muscles protesting the previous day's trek and the night's tense vigil. But the pain felt different now, a badge of honor, a physical reminder of the mental battle I had fought and won. I looked around at the campsite, now just a scattering of footprints and a flattened patch of sand. The desert, always moving, was already erasing the evidence of my presence, reclaiming its domain. It was a humbling thought, a reminder of the power of nature, its indifference to human endeavor. I picked up a handful of sand, letting it sift through my fingers. It was fine and white, almost like powdered sugar, but it held the weight of the desert, the memory of scorching days and freezing nights, of fear and isolation, and ultimately, of survival. It was a souvenir unlike any other, a tangible reminder of my journey into the heart of the Sahara. The walk back to the rendezvous point, once daunting, now felt almost effortless. The familiar landmarks, a particularly tall dune, a cluster of rocks, a lone, wind-sculpted bush, were welcome sights, each one marking my progress towards civilization. The sun beat down, but I no longer felt its oppressive weight. I had found a rhythm in the vastness of the desert, a sense of peace in its stark beauty. My senses, heightened by the previous day and night, seemed to absorb every detail. The play of light and shadow on the dunes, the whisper of the wind, the scuttling of a lizard across the sand. The experience had changed me, stripped away the layers of comfort and familiarity, revealing a resilience I never knew I possessed. I had faced my fears, confronted my limitations, and discovered a strength that went beyond the physical. The Sahara had been my crucible, and I had emerged, not unscathed, but forged anew. As I reached the rendezvous point, a plume of dust on the horizon signaling the approaching jeep, a wave of relief washed over me. But there was also a tinge of regret, a longing to linger in the silence, to absorb the lessons the desert had to teach. I had sought solitude in the Sahara, a chance to test my limits, to confront the unknown. But I had found something more profound, a connection to something ancient and primal, a deep well of strength within myself that I never knew existed. The desert had been my teacher, its lessons harsh but profound. It had taught me the importance of preparation, the power of perseverance, the beauty of simplicity. It had taught me to find comfort in solitude, to appreciate the fragility of life, to embrace the unknown with courage and humility. The Sahara had tested me, broken me down, and in the process shown me who I truly was. It was a journey I would never forget, a transformation that would stay with me long after I had left the desert sands behind. The Sahara Desert, a place of extremes, had tested me in ways I never imagined. It pushed me to my physical limits, forcing me to confront my own vulnerability. But it also revealed a wellspring of inner strength, a resilience I never knew I possessed. The desert stripped away all pretense, leaving me bare before the elements. In that emptiness, I found peace. The vastness, once intimidating, now felt comforting, a reminder of my insignificance. The silence became a source of clarity, allowing me to hear my own soul. This solo adventure was a journey of self-discovery. It taught me the power of perseverance, of pushing beyond my limits. The Sahara, a harsh teacher, imparted its lessons. As I left the desert, I carried those lessons with me, etched deep within my being. I had faced the unknown and emerged reborn.